Thank you so much. I'm part of the generation that takes notes on my phone. So if you're wondering, why is that guy texting while people are talking? No, I'm not texting. I'm writing down the brilliant things that are being said. It's great to be with you. I'm the Member of Parliament for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan. And so often I get lumped in with the greater Edmonton area, but I actually like to refer to this as the greater Sherwood Park area. So it's important that we have this discussion about how to have a strong approach to affordable housing within the greater Sherwood Park region. And I want to bring greetings from our leader, Andrew Scheer. I have the honor, among some other roles, of serving on our party's platform committee as we prepare for the ideas that we're going to be putting forward to Canadians over the next year. So I appreciate being able to hear the insights and take notes on my phone and allow that to inform our ongoing deliberations. I can tell you, certainly there are many areas of substantial agreement between myself and Randy, between the different major parties in Canada. I'm proud of the significant investments that were put in place under the previous government and the continuation of those investments. Now, this should be, as much as possible, a nonpartisan issue. There's going to be some finer points in terms of how we operationalize some of these things, but I think all of us agree on the need to help people and support people and live well together with people in this vital area. So I want to make a few comments about housing. Before that, I wanted to make a few comments about the importance of what's happening here in the general sense of faith leaders and political leaders working collaboratively together. I think this is something, quintessentially Canadian. We don't come from a tradition of having one established church in our country, and we don't come from this sort of very hard American mentality of a separation, of a complete sealing off of church and state. Rather, we have a long tradition in this country of faith institutions and governments working collaboratively together to respond to social challenges. And when I think about how we should operate in this area, something that actually was I took a Muslim political thought course in university, and what our professor said about the Islamic approach to this really stuck out to me. He said that church and state are and must be structurally separate, but are ontologically related. Which means church and state are different, but they are attending to the same people. They're attending to the same fundamental concept of the common good. And obviously, to do that effectively, they must have dialogue with each other. They must respect the areas of difference, but they must also, recognizing those commonalities of objective, work collaboratively together. And we do so with different tools. Obviously, the state comes with the power of taxation, the power of law enforcement, which are powers that the church doesn't have. But the church also has different, and I would argue in many cases, much more potent tools. And I mean the church in a broad ecumenical sense. All faith institutions have that presence, that power, that deep sincerity of motivation. And they also bring a particular view of the human person, not merely as clients, not merely as potential voters or as citizens, but as beings with intrinsic and immutable God-given dignity. And that is more important, I think. Our fundamental dignity as people is more important than our citizenship, than our membership in particular communities, than the fact that we may be clients of certain institutions. I think also it's so important in this relationship between government and faith institutions that we respect those differences and we understand as governments the basis for faith action. I have a concern that more and more we're seeing government programs that yes, acknowledge the social role of the church, but try and ask churches and other faith institutions to sign on to ideas that may be particular to the government. Say you have to think in this way about these issues in order to work with us collaboratively on certain issues. But we must understand that the independence of faith institutions coming from a place of sincere conviction of conscience should not be an area of government interference, and that respect for the intellectual independence of faith institutions is so important for the productive collaborative relationship that we need to have. But I think as governments we can do so much more to work collaboratively with faith institutions to respond to social problems based on that common understanding of respect and a sense of the common good. Now, when it comes to the question of housing, I'll talk a little bit about my own perspective coming out of my own faith tradition. I'm a Catholic, and the core concepts of Catholic social teaching that I talk about when I address this topic are the idea of universal human solidarity and also of subsidiarity. Solidarity being obviously our commitment to the well-being of everybody, regardless of their background, their tradition, their orientation, whatever the case may be. Subsidiarity being this idea that at a practical level, when we respond to social challenges, very often it makes the most sense to maximize the authority of those that are closest to the challenge. So not to have higher orders or more distant orders of government trying to micromanage the response of those at the community level, rather having all orders of government be supportive of those who are closest to the delivery of the services, closest to those on the front line. So when we think about the engagement of the federal government, my view is that it's important for us to look as a federal government for how we can support without dictating to individual communities, without dictating to provinces, without dictating to municipalities exactly the particulars of their response, and also maximizing the flexibility in the kinds of support that we deliver. So looking at things like, for instance, a portable housing benefit, which is not about the government telling people exactly what kind of housing they should have or where a particular site should be, but rather it's a portable benefit that gives people the flexibility in how they respond. I've taken note of all the excellent proposals that have come forward in terms of a portable housing benefit, more support for permanent supportive housing, mobile support workers, and a clear vision for the way ahead. And those will, I'm sure, I hope, be informing our ongoing deliberations within our party and within Parliament. Thank you so much again for the opportunity to be with you today, to share with you, and to learn from you. God bless.